Happy Monday, everybody. This is Shelby Miller, and I'm with Trisha Letterati again. And this week, we wanted to talk to you guys, or we're going to be speaking with Scott Little from Harleysville Bank. And Scott is going to share with us a bit about the SBA program. And you've been a very busy man, haven't you, sir?
Yes, we have. Since Congress authorized the Paycheck Protection Program, we've seen quite a bit of activity at the bank.
So can you kind of tell us what the PPP is and what's the purpose of it?
Sure. Paycheck Protection Program was passed by Congress. Basically, it's a way to get business owners to pay for their employees for the next 2 months and kind of bridge the gap while we're all closed for coronavirus. And so the idea behind this is that they would retain their employees, or they would bring them back and put them on the payroll. And I think some of that would take the pressure off of the unemployment. The idea is so that business owners would still have their employees when we come out of this on the other end.
Oh, that would be great.
And,
Trish,
and
you
you'd
have a
think,
question?
you'd think that $359 billion would go a long way, but it lasted about 7 days.
That's what I was going to say. Where did the money go? It's all gone now, right?
We used all of it at Harleysville Bank. Now,
this is your fault.
I understand. I didn't get the exact totals, but it went very quickly. It opened up on a Friday, but I can tell you literally no bank knew what they were exactly doing on that Friday because all the program rules and procedures had just barely come out. And then by the following Thursday, the money was basically gone. So, but we made a lot of loans to business owners, and we're hoping that it retains jobs in the market areas that we serve. And I know that happened all over the nation. Over the weekend, I was looking at LinkedIn, and they're seeing a number of different banks posting their numbers, what they did.
So if a second round is funded, how are business owners, how do they apply?
Well, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to go to their bank and find out, A, is their bank a part of the program? Most banks and most credit unions are doing this.
Okay.
There are some of the larger banks that aren't, and so the challenge for business owners is to find one that is. The other thing is they really need to be prepared as well too, so that they can take advantage of it as soon as they can if a second round is announced.
Okay.
So who qualifies for the PPP?
Any business owner that has 500 or fewer employees, and there's actually SBA guidelines that if you fall into a certain category and you have 500 or more, you can actually still qualify. Basically, it's just about every business in our market area, Shelby and Trish, that we would know that would qualify for the program.
Well, that's good. That's good news. So what kind of supporting financial documents do people need to be prepared for if and when the second round gets funded?
Well, in order to do that, let me just back up 1 second and tell you a little bit about how they would calculate the loan amount. So the idea here is that you get 2 months worth of payroll. So what we've been doing is the rules tell you can go back to 2019, you take the total amount of payroll, and payroll includes not only what you paid your employees, but also sick time, vacation, health benefits, any 401k contributions. You take that number and you back out any employee who's made over $100,000 or more, and then, or just the amount over the 100,000, and then you times it by 2.5. The idea here being that you'll have 2 months worth of payroll plus a little bit extra, and that little bit extra can be used to pay your mortgage interest on other loans, utilities, rent, all those important things that go into running a business. Now your question, Trish, is how do they document it? So what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to have their 2019 payroll numbers, like their 941, which comes from their payroll, or a W-3, their W-2. The best thing that they can do, though, is they would have to contact their bank and find out what exactly they're looking for documentation. Every bank's just a little bit different.
Okay.
And the important thing, though, is that if they don't show their math on the front end, they're going to need to make sure they do it on the back end, because what makes PPP unique is that it's forgivable. So the portion that the employee, the business owner pays for their payroll should be 100% forgiven. So, and that happens 2 months after the month, 8 weeks after the money is released and funded.
Wow.
So Scott, the money went very quickly, and I'm sure there were a lot of businesses that didn't get the opportunity this time around. Do you anticipate that there might be another round?
all the discussion on the news is that, yeah, Congress is fighting over who's going to get what and who's going to give what. And we are expecting that they'll fund something. And obviously those businesses that are ready and teed up at their bank are the ones that are going to be most likely to get that money.
So when a bank went and when an individual goes to the bank and applies for this with you, is it an immediate, you're accepted? Do they have a time frame that they have to wait to find out if they've been approved for the loan?
Well, some of the people I talked to said that their bank, it took them days for them to hear anything, if at all, if they heard anything at all. The way it was working at Harleysville Bank was that we were getting that if we got a full package, or if we had any questions, we got a hold of our customers as quickly as we could, usually within a day to 2 days. Once we got the supporting documentation, we were able to get it into the SBA system. It looked like it was taking an overnight for that loan to be issued. So once we got a loan number, we knew then that that loan was going to be able to be funded. And the funding is supposed to be taking place within 10 days of the approval. So right now we're in the process of moving as quickly as we can to fund all the loans that we approved last week.
Wow.
Wow, you were a busy man last week, sir.
More importantly, though, is that we're helping business owners to bridge that gap until we can come out and, we can go back to, I don't know if we're ever going to say business as usual, but a lot more usual than it has been.
So I know you'd said that, I guess there's no interest on the portion that you use for payroll. Is that how that works?
What's pretty amazing. So it's a 24-month loan with 1% interest, and basically you can be forgiven for up to the full amount if indeed you use it for what you're looking to do. So the idea is that if you end the 8-week period with the same number of employees that you had last year or that you had before you went into it, you should be able to be forgiven. There's all sorts of rules, though, and business owners should take really good care to document exactly where they spent that money. We're trying to let customers know that maybe set up a new checking account some way so that all that money went towards eligible uses. So it had to be payroll, rent, mortgage interest, or the benefits for your employees.
So after this 8 weeks is over, they're going to come back to the bank that loaned them the money to show the supporting documentation to then determine what's forgivable and what's not.
Correct. So they're going to come back to us, and then any portion that's not forgivable that they spent is going to be, they're going to have to pay back over the next period of time. Like right now, there are actually 6 months with no monthly payments or even interest payments right now.
So is it the financial institution themselves that's going to determine what's forgivable or not, or do you have to put it back into the SBA system?
So here's the interesting thing. So a lot of people have the misconception that the SBA gave the bank money and that we lend it to businesses. It's actually the opposite. The bank is lending our money to customers, and then the SBA is giving us a guarantee that they're going to pay. So they're giving us a promise that if you use the money for eligible purposes, they'll forgive the loan, and B, that if they, if the borrower fails to pay it, they're giving us 100% guarantee, and they'll make the bank whole. But basically, we're lending our money, and the SBA is guaranteeing it. So what they did was they matched up every time a bank did a loan, they matched up that $349 billion with that bank's loan, and then when the guarantee money ran out, that's basically how that worked.
So, I mean, I know that you've been personally asked a million questions in these last couple of weeks. Is there anything that we should know and be able to share with people that we're not asking the question that you think we should be asking you right now?
I think the most important thing is that will this help me is what business owners should ask. Over the weekend, I was looking at some of the different articles that were online from attorneys and how they were counseling their customers with this, and whether or not the business should even borrow it. If you're in a situation where you've already laid off all of your people and you're pretty sure they're going to come back, why would you need to take out a loan to bring them back early? I think for a lot of people strategically, they're able to run their business in some lesser fashion right now, and this money is helping them to stay in business and continue to pay their people. which is exactly what it was used for. On the other hand, if you just don't need it, I would advise them not to do it. But again, you got to think that through. And if you know a good business attorney or your CPA, I know all those folks were being very helpful with business owners as they were looking to get these loans.
Well, Scott, I want to thank you so much for taking time on this Monday morning to get up and have this conversation with us. And I thank you for everything. If anybody has questions, Scott, is there a way that if they wanted to contact you directly to see if maybe we didn't answer something that they could utilize you as a resource?
Sure. They could reach out to me at my email address at slittle@harleysvillebank.com, or they could call my mobile at 610-969-8289.
Scott, I thank you so much for your time, and
You're
I
welcome.
hope that you have a great week.
Thank you very much. You too.
Thank you.